Hello and welcome back to Will It Work? This is Apple's USB-C to Lightning adapter. Released in 2023 to coincide with the iPhone 15, this was designed to convert many existing Lightning accessories to be compatible with USB-C iPhones and iPads. But will this thing even work outside of Apple devices? Can it work with, say, Windows? Or even more crazy, the Nintendo Switch 2? Let's find out. So we will test out 4 different Lightning accessories. The first is Apple's Lightning EarPods. If you've been buying iPhone for a few years, you probably have 4 or 5 of these wadded up in a junk drawer somewhere in your house. In addition to providing audio, they also have an inline microphone and volume controls. Second is Apple's Lightning to headphone adapter, which they used to bundle with iPhones for a few years after they removed the headphone port. Third is the Beats 3, which are a Lightning in-ear buds made by Beats. They also feature an inline microphone and volume controls. And last is a Lightning to auxiliary cable from JSaw for use with a speaker or other audio system. Now, to be clear, if any of these work with the Switch 2, I'm not suggesting that people go out and buy Lightning accessories and Apple's adapter to use with it. There are USB-C equivalents to all of these things. This video is mostly experimental. However, if you've been in the Apple ecosystem for years, you may already have some of these Lightning accessories, and you may even already have the adapter. So the potential for reuse with the Switch 2 is a possibility. It may not come as a surprise that all of these items work with this adapter on the macOS. However, I'd like to establish a baseline for using this adapter outside of Apple's ecosystem. And for that, we're going to use Windows. I have here a laptop running Windows 11 that is fully updated as of the making of this video. We'll use this laptop to get an idea of how well this adapter works away from Apple's operating systems. I have the device manager open on the left as well as the sound control panel on the right so that we will see if any of these accessories pop up. For now, all you'll see in the control panel is the built-in audio devices from Realtek, including 3 entries here for the microphone and just 1 for speakers or headphones. So let's start with Apple's Lightning EarPods, which I have plugged into the adapter already, and then we'll just plug this into the USB-C port of the laptop. USB device not recognized, and you'll see that down here we have a missing driver. And of course there is no driver for this, nothing from Apple. You can tell Windows to go out to the internet and search for it. It will not find anything. And there's no extra speaker or headphone entry here, and no new entry for the microphone. So this one is an absolute failure on Windows 11. So now we'll try out Apple's Lightning to headphone adapter, which I have plugged into these blue headphones over here on the right. So let's just plug this into the laptop and see what we get. Yeah, same thing. No entries over here in the sound control panel either. So yeah, this is a bust just like the Lightning EarPods were. So next up, let's try out those Beats 3. Even though Beats is owned by Apple, their products are more friendly with non-Apple devices than Apple's own first-party products. So maybe we'll have a little better luck with Windows here. Plug this in. No, same thing. Not found, nothing showing up here under speaker or microphone. Yeah, we are 0 for 3 so far. And finally, we'll test out the JSaw Lightning to auxiliary cable, which I have plugged into a speaker on the right side of the laptop, and on the left is the Lightning connector plugged into the adapter. So let's just plug this into the laptop and see if we have any better luck. No, same thing. And nothing showing up here as a new speaker. We are 0 for 4 with these lightning accessories and Windows 11. This does not bode well for any of these working on the Nintendo Switch 2, but we're going to give it a go anyway. Let's get started. Okay, so I have the audio settings up, and at the top you can see what the current speakers and microphone are. Right now they are defaulting to the internal speakers and the internal microphone. So I'm going to plug the lightning earpods into the switch. Now I'm going to put it in the top. It'll look kind of silly, but if you were holding this in your hand, you could use the USB-C port at the bottom of the switch too. Wow, it sees it. USB-C to lightning adapter for both the speakers and the microphone. Let's see if the volume controls work. They do. Look at that. Okay, let's do an audio test. I'm going to bring my microphone over a little bit. All right, sounds good. Let's test out the microphone now. And we'll switch this over to the system speakers so we can hear it. And we will make sure the microphone is set to the USB-C to lightning adapter. So I'll put these in my ear and we'll record a little message. Coming to you live on the Nintendo Switch 2 using Apple's Lightning EarPods. Coming to you live on the Nintendo Switch 2 using Apple's Lightning EarPods. Well, there you go. These work perfectly fine. The volume controls, the audio, and the microphone, no issues whatsoever. So here I have some standard headphones plugged into Apple's Lightning headphone adapter, plugged into the USB-C adapter. These headphones also have an inline microphone. Yep, it sees both of them here, and I can tell you this works exactly the same as the EarPods that I just showed you. No issues whatsoever. And now let's try the Beats 3. Yep, sees the in-ear buds as an audio out, sees the microphone, volume controls work. This works perfectly just like the last two. No problems at all. And finally is the lightning to auxiliary cable from JSaw that I have plugged into this little speaker back here. This has no microphone, so it'll just be speakers. And there it shows up, and you see this is still on the internal system microphone. Let's see how this sounds. So that's it. All four of these work perfectly on the Nintendo Switch 2, which I think is incredibly amazing. None of these worked under Windows. And Lightning is basically an abandoned technology. I mean, sure, there's lots of phones out there with it and they're still selling accessories for it, but it's got no future. It's very odd that Nintendo would include support for this in the Switch 2. I've tried this adapter over the years on the original Switch and I never could get it to work, although admittedly I haven't tried it recently and I sold my Switch when I got the Switch 2, so it's possible they've added it, but the only thing I was ever able to get on the original Switch was the volume controls to work, and it would control the internal speaker. The USB audio never worked, and of course there's no USB microphone input on the OG Switch. So why in 2025 add Lightning support? Very strange. I think it's great. It makes for a great video, but I really don't have an explanation as to why Nintendo would have done this, but these things just work perfectly. I'd also like to say that it's not the adapter itself that Windows 11 can't find a driver for. It's actually the Lightning devices we're plugging into the adapter. Some Lightning devices work with that adapter on Windows 11 just fine, like the Shure microphone I've been using in this video. But these devices are really USB devices, and they've just been modified to work with Lightning. They either have an interchangeable cable you can use, or even if they're a hardwired Lightning device, that company probably has a hardwired USB-C equivalent, and it's clear that those are USB devices to start with, and then they're modified slightly to work with Lightning. In that case, when you plug it into Windows 11, it works just like a USB device, and you'll actually see its name like Shure microphone instead of USB-C to Lightning adapter. And that's also true on the Mac and iOS and the Switch 2 as well. So what ones are USB devices at their heart and what are, for lack of a better word, pure or native Lightning devices? I don't know. When I bought that JSAW Lightning to auxiliary cable, I had a hunch that was going to be a USB device, but it wasn't. It was a purely native Lightning device. But it seems that those pure or native Lightning devices just are never going to work on Windows. So all the more surprising they work on the Switch too. I also want to talk about some things that don't work with Apple's USB-C to Lightning adapter on any operating system, even the USB-C iPhones. That is Lightning to HDMI adapters, Lightning to VGA adapters. I even tried out a Lightning to Ethernet adapter, and that didn't work at all. I did get a Lightning keyboard from Kensington in, and while it would work with USB-C iPhones, it didn't work with anything else. Even the Mac, which was odd. I understand that perhaps some of those keys would only be for iOS devices, but most of the keyboard should have worked, but it sure didn't. It showed up like a USB device, but it wouldn't work on anything other than an iOS device. Also, if you watched my video a few months ago on these old Lightning docks, and judging by the numbers, you haven't, you might be wondering if they work with it. And while the USB-C adapter does work with these, with iPhone 15 and iPhone 16 and iPads that have USB-C, the Switch 2 does not work. In fact, nothing works with it, not even the Mac, because these are communicating with the old iPod accessory protocol, which didn't kick in until about the mid-2000s with iPods minus the shuffle. And it's still in the iOS today, and iPad OS and iOS, and it still will work today with the right adapters, but there's nothing else that speaks that, not even the Mac, like I said, not Windows, not the Switch 2, so these things aren't going to work at all. You will get power out of them, but that's the only thing. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for this video. As always, if you're enjoying this channel, please like and subscribe. I'll be back soon, but that's all for now. Take care.